Good morning, Piedauz. Here's your machine, the Breville Barista Express BES870 in black sesame. As you saw in the photos and as you can see in the video, it's in good condition. It's a used machine, of course. It's got some scratches, mainly around the front over here, and one over there. But for the age, this is pretty good condition, I would say. And also on the inside, it's fully functional, works like new. No problems there. I've actually just finished doing the service on this machine, so no problems at all. In this video, I'm going to show you that the machine has no problems, and of course I'm going to teach you how to use it in case this was your first machine, coffee machine. So when you first turn it on, usually it takes about a minute, maybe, to reach the temperature, the boiler temperature of 93 degrees. Once the boiler is up to temperature, you'll see the buttons light up. It's not recommended you use the machine right away when you see the lights come on. It's recommended you warm the machine up, so you can either leave it on for 10 or 20 minutes, and over time it'll slowly warm up because the boiler is at that temperature and it's radiating heat everywhere. So you can put your cups here, your cups will get a little bit warm, your portafilter will get nice and hot as well after a while. If you're in a rush and you want to use the machine straight away, you can run a blank shot and warm it up much quicker. So make sure there's no coffee in the handle. In this case, obviously it's empty. Grab your cup, the one you'll be using, and run a blank shot. So press the double, let the hot water go through the machine into the cup, into the cup, sorry. And this will warm things up, and it'll also clean. So if there's any oils or coffee grounds stuck in the group head or in the portafilter, this will clean it up. So as you see, the water is slightly yellow because I just finished doing the cleaning cycle. There's a bit of soap left from the cleaning cycle. You can do that once or twice. But yeah, as you see, the water is now crystal clear. No problems there. So keep the hot water in the cup for a while until we're ready to use the cup. Once you've finished the blank shot, you want to take out the portafilter, dry it completely, and now we're ready to grind the coffee. So you want to dry it before grinding. And in my case, I'm also going to use a scale to measure the input and output. It's recommended to use the scale. You don't have to, but it's going to make your shots much more consistent. So this is the double basket. This is the one that comes with the machine now. It takes 18 grams of ground coffee. So I'm going to put 18 grams according to my scale. I'm going to experiment with the settings here. But usually, I like to use the single instead of the double. So do the single twice. So this is a double shot. We'll use it for one coffee, but it's a double shot, meaning that the shot will be strong. You can split it up. Obviously, you have two spouts. You can split it up into two shots. It'll give you two weaker drinks. In my case, I like the double, which is the standard. I'm going to keep the grind settings on single. I'm going to keep the grind amount at 12 o'clock here, and the grind size at number 4. So I've also, in the service, I've recalibrated the grinder burrs. So hopefully at number 4, it'll give us a good coffee, plus or minus a few numbers. But I think it's close enough. I've compared it to my other grinder. And the only way to know if we have the correct settings is obviously to make a coffee. So we'll make a coffee now. And the grind size, obviously we'll make the particle size larger or smaller. So the smaller or the finer the coffee, the more pressure you'll be getting and the slower the shot. If you increase the grind size to a larger particle size, the coffee will go quicker, much quicker. This is the amount, so how long the grinder will grind for. And this just doubles it to double or single. I'll keep it on single, and I'll explain why. So reset my scale, 12 o'clock position, and click. Hopefully, we should get 9 grams if we have the settings correct. So 9 grams for one single. So you do that twice, that's 18 grams. Which is perfect. So, okay, that's 7 grams, so we'll increase it a little bit. We'll put it at 2 o'clock. But before trying it at the 2 o'clock position, I'm going to top it up. If you want to manually grind for a set amount of time, you just hold. Eight and a half. That should be 9 grams. Once you have the first dose, just press it lightly with a temper. Grind again. Now at the 2 o'clock position, let's see how much we get. We may need to increase the grind size. It looks a little bit too fine, just a little bit. we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. But yeah, that looks pretty fine. We might need to increase it a little bit. That's 17 grams, just a little bit more, and we'll be at the 18 gram. Close enough. 17.8. So I'm going to spread the coffee with my finger. Before pressing it with the tamper, you want to spread it with the finger so that you can ensure that the coffee is evenly squeezed and not compacted more so in other areas. So if you have a lot of coffee in the middle and you press it with the tamper, the middle will have a lot of density and the sides around the middle will have very low pressure, low density of coffee. So the coffee will just go to the path of least resistance and it will go around the center. You don't want that. You want it to be evenly distributed so that once the hot water hits it, it goes through all the coffee and not just the outside. That's why you want to spread it out with your finger. Then press it nice and firm with a tamper. You can put it on the bench. I personally just do it in the air. Should be fine. Over time, you'll learn how to do this without the scale, so you can just put it on the same settings every time, or just look at it by your eye and determine that you have the correct amount of coffee. The Breville has made it easy to know if you have the correct amount of coffee. So if you grind your coffee, tamper it with a tamper, just notice the depth of the tamper and how deep it goes. If it goes as deep as this silver part, then that's the right amount of coffee. As you see, this is about how much it goes into the coffee, which is like maybe 1 centimeter from the edge. This is perfect for this basket. So just look at the depth. If it's all the way up here and you can't press it any deeper, that's too much coffee. And also if it sinks too deep into the basket, just all the way down here, then it's too little coffee. So this is what it looks like. Make sure you clean the edges and lock it in. So you can go in the middle, go all the way to the right, it's up to you. I'm just going to put it at sort of like 5:30 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Should hold pressure. I've already tested it. It doesn't give me any problems at that position. Right, so now we're ready to make the coffee, finally, after a lot of talking. I'm going to reset my scale again, and now I'm going to measure the output. So, just quickly going to the basics of coffee. You want to get a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every gram of ground coffee you put in, you want to get 2 grams out. And you want that to happen in about 30 seconds. 25 to 30 seconds should be fine. We put in 18 grams. We want to double the 18 grams of ground coffee into 36 grams of liquid espresso. So hopefully if we have everything right, we'll get 36 grams in 30 seconds. So I'm going to time this shot as well. And you want to time it from the press of the button. Also, these buttons are programmable. So they go as little as I think 30 grams all the way up to 200 grams. So you can change them from whatever range, in whatever amount in that range. So I'm going to reset. I've already reset the button. So if you want to reset your whole program, you reset to factory settings. Unfortunately, from factory, the shots are a bit too long. So if I press the single, it'll give me maybe 40 or 50 grams of coffee. With this one, it'll give me closer to 60 to 70 grams of coffee, which is a lot of coffee for a double shot. So I'm going to reprogram the double button to give me about 40 grams of coffee, or 35 to 40 grams. Very easy to reprogram. You just do what I did now. Grind the coffee, press it, put in the handle, put your cup underneath. And to program, you press program and you press the button. I'm going to press the double. It'll start making coffee. I'm going to stop it when I'm happy with the volume, which is about halfway of this cup. This is 80 grams or 90 grams. About halfway is 40 grams. So press, and you want to time it as well, just for reference. You don't want it to happen in 5 seconds. If the shot happens in 5 seconds, way too quick. Or 10 seconds, that's way too quick. You want it to be closer to 25 to 30 seconds. So to make it go slower, you can make it one number finer here, or maybe change your beans. Your beans could be the reason why you're getting low pressure. Also, if you're getting way too high over pressure, coffee comes out in maybe a minute instead of 30 seconds. That means the amount is too much, or the grind size is too fine. I think we'll be getting way too fine. No, I think we'll be getting slightly fine and slightly slow shot here. So let's see, just because of the grind size, just looking at it. Also, pressure gauge is kind of important. You want the pressure to be in the gray zone, so maybe from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, that's usually good enough. You want it to be a nice, smooth flow. and in this case we can see it's way too fine. So the machine is not getting a lot of coffee out. If you leave it on for a minute, you may get a few drops, as you see there. That's very, very fine. So I'm going to increase the grind size from 4 to 6. Let me turn it off. I'm going to increase the grind size from 4 to 6, and I'll try again. This is how you dial in the coffee. You just try coffee, and then another coffee, and another coffee. So hopefully, once I set it and put it on the right settings here and here, you won't have to worry about this too much once you get the machine. So I'll pause the video, and then I'll put it on grind 6. Okay, it's at grind size number 7 now. I did in the first batch of coffee. Now I'm doing the second batch. It's important to know that when changing the grind size, you don't want to change the grind size when the grinder is not grinding. So what I usually do, I start grinding and then change the grind size. So if you change the grind size with the grinder not grinding, you might damage the mechanism of the grinder adjustment. So it's something to know. And also, after you change the grind size, keep it running for maybe another 2 seconds, and then get rid of that coffee, because it will be a mixture between the old and the new grind size. Let's see what we have. We have 17 grams, just a little bit more. This is at amount 1 o'clock. So that's 18 grams. So about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you'll get 9 grams every time you press. So I'll keep it there at 1 o'clock. Hopefully you can adjust it later. Grab the temper, just like before. I'm going to make this really quick. Press it nice and firm. Look at the depth of the temper. Is it the same depth as the silver part? Yes, it is. Make sure it's nice and level. There we go. Again, clean the edges and lock it in the middle. Just a bit to the right maybe. Reset the scale, and let's make a coffee. This is grind size number 7, 1 o'clock, 18 grams in. I'm going to reset the buttons. Sorry, I'm going to recalculate. Sorry, reprogram. So press reprogram then. Hopefully it'll be a bit quicker now. If not, I'm just going to increase the grind size again. But I think it's going to be a bit better now. Yeah, that's better. It may run for a bit too long. It looks like it's closer to 20 seconds now. Actually, no, it looks like a good shot. So pressure is steady at 12 o'clock. So now it's 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds. Looks like we have got it right now. 12 o'clock pressure, a lot of crema. Flow was nice and symmetrical. It was a bit slow at first, but that's fine. Happens all the time. 32 grams. So we got 32 grams in 30 seconds instead of 36 grams in 30 seconds. I think that's pretty good. So if I let it go for another 2 seconds, we would be at 36 grams, I think. So I'm going to keep it there. I think this is pretty much set. Maybe when you get it, just try it with the beans that you have, because of course different beans will have different settings required. So with the Aldi beans that I use, it could be at grind size 7. You could use some beans that are grind size 5 or grind size 10, where you need to be. It just depends on the age of the bean, the type of the bean, etc. Just please, don't set the grinder way too fine. So because I recalibrated the grinder, the recalibration process means that I go inside the machine, readjust the internal mechanism, and make it go finer. So I'll bring the burrs close together, but not very, very close. If you go very fine on the grind size, you will make the blades touch, and that's never good. So don't go all the way to grind size 2 or 3. Sorry, don't go to grind size 2 or grind size 1. That's just way too fine. So as you saw at grind size 4, the machine was way too fine. It was struggling with the pressure. So grind size 7 is pretty good now. You may need to go grind size 6, 5, maybe 8 or 9. But don't go all the way to 2 or 1. Those numbers are just there for the future. Maybe in a few years time you will need to go to grind size number 2, but for now don't go very fine on the grind size. Yeah, this is a good shot, 32 grams. I don't usually have espresso on its own, but this looks like a good shot. If you have espresso straight away like this, you want to mix up the crema first, because the crema is very bitter on its own. So mix it up with the coffee. That's a good shot. Very bright. Yeah, that's espresso on the Breville Barista Express. It took us a while. What are we at now? 15 minutes? That's fine. You want to clean the machine as soon as you finish the shot. So grab your portafilter, knock the coffee into a knockbox. There we go. And you want to do another blank shot this time to rinse. So rinse. This is going to rinse the group head and the portafilter. So press the double. Do that once or twice. And that's done. Grab a tissue, dry the portafilter. It doesn't hurt to dry the portafilter every time, especially if you're making another coffee, it'll be useful. But if you're not making another coffee, you don't have to dry it. Also important, every now and then grab a tissue, or you can use the same tissue if it's clean on the other side, and wipe the group head. There's always a bit of oils and coffee ground stuck around the rubber gasket and the shower screen. So it's good to keep it nice and clean so that the machine's life is prolonged and your coffee tastes good. Otherwise, it might taste bad if you have a lot of dirt up there. And then if you're done with the coffee, just tighten it up a little bit. You don't have to go all the way to the right if you're not using the machine. So don't put a lot of pressure on the rubber gasket if you don't have to. So this is just going to compress the rubber gasket. Not good. So just maybe just there. And then next morning when you turn it on, the portafilter is already there and it will get nice and warm as the machine heats up. You can put your cups on top. Now, if you want to make obviously a latte or a cappuccino, you want to add some milk. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you the steaming. It's a single boiler machine, so you have to wait a bit. But it's actually one of the quicker single boiler machines. So only about 10-15 seconds and you start getting steam. Just let it purge the water first. And then once you see steam coming out, you can start steaming the milk. Don't get that water in your milk at first. It'll just dilute the milk and make it taste bad. So once you get full pressure, turn it off. Position your wand. I like to use cold full cream milk. Turn it back on. Keep the milk spinning. Keep the tip close to the surface of the milk. The closer you are to the surface of the milk, the more bubbles and froth you'll get, I guess. Once you're done, make sure to give it a good wipe and purge when you're done. You don't want it to be blocked, otherwise you won't get any steam and it'll be hard to clean. So wipe it off straight away, and now the machine will cool down. So it'll give you about 5 seconds and then it'll go back to standby mode or espresso mode. Now you see the buttons light up, you're ready to make another coffee. Or you can turn it off if you want, it's fine. So yeah, that's the Barista Express. Oh, you also have a hot water tap here if you want to make a long black coffee or if you want to warm up your cups. You have hot water straight from the bowl. So that's going to give you clean water. If you get water from the group head, sometimes you get, like I said, you get a bit of coffee grounds or oils. So this is going to give you clean hot water. Yeah, that's it. The machine, I think you'll love it. It's got no problems and it'll tell you when it's time to clean. So there's a clean me. Just make sure you have water in the tank. If you run it without water, you might damage the pump. So it's always good to check the water before you turn it on. Yeah, if you have any issues or questions or concerns about coffee machines or Breville, please don't hesitate. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.